the countdown to the biggest show of the year is in single digits. WrestleMania is next weekend. The card is heating up. We're going to talk about it. We're going to answer the biggest questions in the world of wrestling and take more of your viewer questions. Coming up on this edition of Pipe Bomb Wrestling Podcast, the bomb drops now.
All of you friendly, nice, amazing people.
Oh, hi everyone. We love you so much.
You guys are the best.
This is TSF.
Was it real?
100 not.
Oh my God.
And you're listening to the Pipe Bomb Wrestling Podcast, baby.
Hello and welcome to this edition of the Pipe Bomb Wrestling Podcast, a show that is for the fans, by the fans. I am your phenomenal host, Mr. Podcasting, Chris Belcher. Andy York, the young buck, is with me as always. Single digits, man.
It's weird that we're already here.
Isn't it?
Like it seemed like it came very, very quick. I feel like we just got done with the Rumble.
Because we did.
Yeah, I know, but like
it's so fast.
That was 2 months ago now.
Yeah.
Was the Rumble. And it feels like it was just like yesterday.
It was so
the
fast.
Rumble was.
Oh my gosh.
It was very fast. I think the fact that like Elimination Chamber was 3 weeks after the Rumble has made this somewhat go faster, which is weird.
Right.
But yeah, we're here at WrestleMania, and there's going to be a lot to talk about. Next week's show is going to be even more in depth with WrestleMania, so I'm going to not hold all my thoughts until then, but you got to save something for next week.
That's exactly right. Speaking of next week, we're going to go over our schedule at the end of the show, but we will preview night 1 and night 2 on 2 different shows next week. So get ready for that coming next week. Can't go any further without thanking TSF for their awesome intro and their awesome friendship. Thank you all for submitting your questions. We're going to get to those in just a little bit, but if you want to know where to do that, follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, and TikTok at PBW Podcast. Make sure that you are doing that. Make sure you're supporting us over at ProWrestlingTees.com/PBW Podcast. All right, let's get into it, Andy. Before we get to what's happening right now, let's take a trip back to old school, and there's nobody more old school than this guy right here.
Yeah, so I feel like we can't talk about WrestleMania without bringing up The Undertaker at some point.
Yep.
I know we call Shawn Michaels Mr. WrestleMania.
I'm a huge Shawn Michaels fan, and that is one of the things that I wrestle with the most.
Yeah.
Is I don't know who is.
I think he has the streak, so it has to be Taker. It has to be Taker. It can be 1A, 1B. Like Taker and Shawn are right up there because they have like the best or one of the best WrestleMania matches of all time, so they both can have it. 2 of the best WrestleMania matches of all time, they both can have it. But we are talking about The Undertaker because today is actually his birthday.
As of day of recording.
Happy birthday, Undertaker. We got to experience a different side of The Undertaker at last year's WrestleMania together with the Hall of Fame speech, which was one of my favorite moments of WrestleMania weekend, which is weird because I hated SmackDown going, like that SmackDown was not the best. SmackDown going into the final show. And even like the Hall of Fame wasn't that great last year. Seeing Shaq guest spar getting put in was probably like one of the biggest moments of the night too. Super emotional.
Yep, that was rough.
Especially for 2 guys that hadn't slept in 36 hours at that point or something like that. We were already emotional as it was.
That's a good point.
And then we gave Taker like a 10-minute standing ovation before he can even speak. So like all of that was fantastic. But since it's his birthday, since it's WrestleMania season, I think it's very fitting that we go back and look at the best and worst of the streak for WrestleMania. Because there's a little bit of both. There's some really, really good, and then there's some giant Gonzaleses that are out there. So, for the old school, since you are the old school, I'll let you give yours first, and then I'll throw my input in there.
Well, first of all, I echo exactly what you said. I'm about to head to my 4th WrestleMania coming up next week.
Yep.
4th in 6 years, by the way.
Yep.
But The Undertaker getting inducted in the Hall of Fame easily goes up in not only the WrestleMania moments that I've gotten to experience in person, but just wrestling moments in general.
Yeah.
Like, it immediately goes to the top 5, maybe top 3. One of the coolest things I've ever experienced in person. So, that was the only Hall of Fame that I've ever been to.
Yeah.
Only Hall of Fame I plan on going to.
Yeah.
I'm so glad because we did that last minute.
Yeah.
That was like a week and a half before we were going. We decided we were going to go.
We were like, do we want to sleep or do we want to go to SmackDown? And we're like, we're already there. Might as well go to SmackDown.
May as well.
And it was worth it.
And it was well
Actually, no, we talked about either going to Supercard.
We did. We talked
about going to Supercard.
We talked about it for a hot minute.
Yep.
And then we decided Hall of Fame, and I'm very glad that we did. But all that to say, The Undertaker, that quickly propelled The Undertaker. Not that he wasn't one of my favorite wrestlers already, but that propelled him into solidifying his spot in like my top 5 for sure. But anyway, another thing that propelled him into my top 5 is all these WrestleMania matches that he had. Like you just mentioned, you got the matches against Shawn. Clearly the best thing that he ever did at WrestleMania. Not just WrestleMania, but that is the greatest wrestling match of all time, in my opinion.
Which one?
25.
Yeah.
Hands down. There's nothing that touches that. I don't care how many flip-flop Canadian Destroyers, table spots, Iron Man matches, I don't care what you do.
Yeah.
In my opinion, nothing's going to top that. Triple H stuff is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
The Punk match at 29 is so good. And I'll even throw in, I thought the Roman match at 33 had some moments where it was okay. You could see where Taker started running out of steam. It was pretty quick. But there was some moments in that match that was okay.
Yeah.
But aside from the Shawn match, because I'm just going to put that on a different level, my favorite Undertaker WrestleMania match is 24 against Edge.
Yeah.
My favorite.
That one's hard to beat. Like, that one is that whole feud was really good.
Incredible.
And then you have and especially with what we know now of Vince wanted Edge to go over, and Edge refused. Edge was like, "Nope, I'm not going to be the guy that does this," because I think he even knew whenever that happens, which is weird, but it feels like as soon as Taker lost at WrestleMania 30, because that's the same WrestleMania that we got Daniel Bryan winning. But even like the next WrestleMania didn't feel as special.
Sure, I agree.
Like, it's special, obviously. It's the biggest show of the year. But it lost something when Taker lost.
Yep.
Which is why I always say that he shouldn't have lost. But I think if we're putting the Shawn match aside, because I think that is probably one of the best wrestling matches of all time, one of the best WrestleMania matches of all time, my favorite, the one that if I'm like, I want to watch a Taker WrestleMania match, Hell in a Cell, end of an era, Triple H and The Undertaker, the super kick pedigree combo still gets me to this day. And I know he's going to kick out.
Right.
But it's one of the best spots of WrestleMania. In WrestleMania history is that kick out.
I'm going to tell you a very underrated one, a couple of underrated ones actually. Randy Orton.
Yes.
At 21 is so good.
Yep.
Go back and watch the first Undertaker Triple H match at WrestleMania 17. Very good.
Yeah.
And then the Ric Flair match at 18.
Yeah.
Had no business being as good as it was, but it was very good.
Yeah. Yeah. And for the time period it was in, I think a lot of people overlooked the Bray match at 31 because it was post streak losing, so it didn't really feel like it mattered as much.
Sure.
And obviously Taker going over he already lost, so kind of questionable.
I think this is where the argument is with Mr. WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Is where we can spotlight a bunch of Taker matches, and they were great. But we can also, and no fault of Taker's, it's the hand he was dealt.
Absolutely.
Giant Gonzalez, Jimmy Snuka at the end of his run.
Yeah.
Jake the Snake, which was good.
Yeah. Mark Henry.
King Kong Bundy.
Yep.
Mark Henry. Psycho Sid.
Yeah.
Which, not a bad match, but it's the hand Taker was dealt.
Yeah.
You go through Shawn's.
The worst one's Vince.
The worst one is Vince. That's it.
Which that's still a fun match. Like, that match is still a lot of fun.
It wasn't a bad match.
I think with Taker, because like even like the new stuff with like Shane at 32, the match is not good.
Right.
But the spot everybody remembers is Shane jumping from the top, and I remember the choke slam on the steel steps because that was a stiff choke slam.
Mm-hmm.
33 with Roman is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is, and it's not Taker's fault. It's just like the hand he was dealt with the guy that nobody liked at the time. But then it led to one of the best Raw After Mania moments is a 5-word promo that takes 10 minutes to get to because people are booing Roman so bad. Mm-hmm. That whole segment's amazing. Yeah, like that whole segment's amazing. 34 with Cena. It's interesting. It's different. I get why they did it, but
it's great.
It's the first time these two dudes ever locked up on pay-per-view at WrestleMania.
Yep.
We could have gone a little longer.
Right.
I get why they didn't.
Yep.
And he didn't wrestle at 35. 36 the Boneyard match was stupid fun for no reason.
Yep, for sure.
And then 37 he didn't wrestle. 38 he got inducted.
Right.
So the end of his run at WrestleMania is not the best either.
Right.
Like I think from 30 on, 31's good. Him and Bray are good. Except it happened in the middle of like daylight, which was weird for both
and
guys.
he and Brock was good too, considering the fact he was knocked out.
Yeah, it was
Didn't
good.
have a clue where he was.
It was good. I haven't gone back and watched that one in so long.
I know, me either.
Because I can't stomach to watch it.
It's been like probably 4 years at this point since I've watched it.
But I still think my favorite is the Triple H match, and then probably my least favorite Taker WrestleMania match is the Mark Henry one.
I'm gonna go
because obviously the obvious one is Gonzalez because that one's so bad.
Well, for me, and this is nostalgia for me, I am such a huge fan of WrestleMania 9.
Yeah.
I am in such a minority with that because that is one of the most hated WrestleManias of all time.
Making sure I know I'm getting my WrestleMania because the early WrestleManias kind of get jumbled together.
WrestleMania 9 is outside.
Is it Brett and Yokozuna and Hogan wins the title at the end?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
I really enjoy that WrestleMania simply because it looks totally different than anything else. You know, and growing up as a wrestling fan, that was one of my biggest things is the way it looked.
Yeah.
The way it was presented. It was just totally different.
Is that
really
where Heenan comes out on the...
Yes.
Yeah.
You have Heenan and Macho on commentary. You have JR's commentary debut. And it just, to me, it's criminally underrated.
I think the main event hurts it a lot.
Oh, there are like 5 matches that hurt it a lot.
Yeah.
Razor Ramon wrestles Bob Backlund on that pay-per-view, and Razor Ramon's hurt, and they can barely do anything.
And Taker and Gonzalez. And
you got Lex Luger and Mr. Perfect, who wrestled a good match, Crush and Doink the Clown. Shawn Michaels and Tatanka wrestled to a count out in the first match. I mean, like...
It's just a weird mania.
It is. It's so weird. But I to that point... That's why Gonzalez is my least favorite.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to enjoy WrestleMania 9 so much.
Yeah.
And that just was terrible.
Yeah. I also think Shane's is probably one of my least favorites too, is because that was during the time period where I was like really getting into wrestling.
Sure.
Like the first Raw I ever went to was leading into that match.
Yep.
And like we never figured out what was in Taker's or Vince's lockbox.
Right.
Like that was never brought up again. And that was one of the ones I was like, yeah, it's not Taker, but it's still not. We're used to a spectacle, and it wasn't even really that. We just got that big spot. I honestly so he wrestled Triple H at 17, Randy at 18, 19.
18 was Flair,
which is good.
19 was Big Show and A-Train.
Yeah, it was bad.
20 was, they were supposed to have Nathan Jones in there, and then that went haywire.
Yeah.
20 was Kane.
Okay.
21 was Orton. 22 was
that Henry?
Either 22 or 23 was 20.
I think 22 was Henry, 23 was Batista.
I can't remember which one. Those two. Because
I think
22 is Henry. That's right. 22 is Henry.
So if we did Henry, if we could only do Henry the year of Randy and Randy the year of Henry, then we could say from Randy to Punk is Taker's best stretch.
Yep.
Like Taker's best stretch is from Randy to Punk.
Right.
Because he doesn't miss. He's the best. You knew when the Taker match happened in those WrestleManias, that was going to be the best match of the night.
Right.
And they were. They absolutely were.
And then when you look at Shawn, I know we're talking about Taker and it's his birthday, but when you're looking at Shawn in that comparison, Shawn started at WrestleMania 5.
Yeah.
5, 6, and 7. Yes, 5, 6, and 7 were the Rockers. 8 was his first singles against Tito Santana.
Yeah.
9 was Tatanka. 10 was Razor.
Yeah.
11 was Diesel. 12 was Brett. 13 he was hurt. 14 was Austin.
Yep.
He missed 15, 16, 17, and 18. 19 was Jericho.
Yeah.
20 is the triple threat with Benoit and Hunter.
Yep.
21 is Kurt Angle. 22 is Vince. 23 is Cena. 24 is Flair. 25 and 26 is Taker.
Yep. So you could kind of say the same thing from
his second run.
His second
is all home runs,
which is kind of from Taker's run that we talk about.
Yep.
So they're kind of neck and neck from that point on. I just think Taker's good outweigh the bad so big. Like his good in WrestleMania outweigh everything else that happened.
Shawn just doesn't have bad.
No. And the thing about Taker is Taker has literally evolved. We talk about like guys evolving and like fitting with the times.
Yep.
Taker did that.
Yep.
Like you could put him in there. Obviously, Giant Gonzalez was whatever, but then like you could put him in there
Mark Henry. Yeah.
Mark Henry, and then Batista, who wrestles a different style, fantastic match. Edge, who wrestles a different style, fantastic match. Randy, Shawn even doesn't wrestle the same match as Taker. Punk, who was probably the first like new generation of wrestling style.
Yeah.
And Taker fit right in with it. It's like it was ridiculous the kind of run that he went on.
We kind of booked this last week. We're really going long on Taker here, but
it's Taker at WrestleMania. How can you not?
It's Taker's birthday. Whatever. We went down this rabbit hole with Shawn last week. But if you had to pick a Mania match for Taker that didn't happen, that could have happened.
Yeah.
What do you want? Now think his career progression and like where he landed. Because like the first person immediately that comes to mind for me is Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
But Taker is sort of past the good.
Yeah.
If you're going to get him in his Mania 34 shape, maybe.
Yeah. I would say Cena. Like I know we got Cena.
But you want the real
I want
match.
Super Cena versus undefeated streak Taker at WrestleMania.
Okay.
Like that's the one that like both of these guys are company guys.
Mm-hmm.
Both of these guys are legends in the industry. Even at that point, like you can't deny how good Cena was. I think that's the one I look back as like, man, if we could have got Super Cena versus undefeated streak Taker, that would be fantastic. I gotta tell you another one. Malachi Black. Taker and Malachi Black. I know that's kind of like the Seth Rollins thing of
you have to hit him at the right time.
You have to hit him at the right time. But if we could, like in a fantasy world, if we could have Prime Taker versus Malachi Black, that would be so good.
The fantasy world answer is Sting.
Right.
Not going to happen.
No. You could have done it at WrestleMania 31.
Right.
But that'd have been Goldberg Taker just a couple years earlier.
Right.
Because Taker wasn't in a good spot at that point.
Right. Sting wouldn't have dropped him on his head, though. I think my answer will be Stone Cold. Because apparently they don't have good chemistry together in the ring.
Yeah.
That's why they didn't work together a whole lot.
Yeah.
And also injuries riddled Taker during the Ministry of Darkness era, which is why he did it. But that Ministry Taker versus Austin would have been fantastic.
Yeah.
I also would have liked to have seen, and we had incredible Taker matches during this time, so I don't want to take any of those away. But suit version of Jericho.
Yes.
Versus The Undertaker at WrestleMania.
Yeah. That would have been really good. I'll tell you another one. The match would have been terrible. But just the spectacle of it would have been Taker versus Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
Like the spectacle of that is WrestleMania worthy. The match is going to be horrible.
Yep. It's going to suck.
But like just the fact that those two, there's a lot of guys on this WrestleMania list that you look and you expect to see, and they're not there. I mean, Stone Cold, The Rock.
We didn't mention Diesel. He wrestled Diesel. I would have liked to see him against Scott Hall at WrestleMania.
Yeah, that would have been great.
That could have been cool.
Hogan.
Yeah, they hate each other.
Yeah, I know, but like, still WrestleMania.
Sorry for those of you listeners and viewers who didn't know that. There's beef there.
There's Yokozuna. Like Taker and Yokozuna would have been.
They had runs, but it never happened at Mania.
Mania, like that, like they're just Mania matches. You look at like there should be guys on this list, and they're not. But
when you look at the
list, the list is still so stacked.
It's insane. This list is so ridiculous. All right, let's move on. Happy birthday to The Undertaker.
We could do a full episode on Taker.
We really could. You know what we should do is write some articles on WrestleBuddy about The Undertaker. That's what we should.
We should do that.
That would make a lot of sense. Check out our buddies over. Our buddies. See what I did there? Check out our friends over at Wrestle Buddy. Alex and the crew over there do a fantastic job. Tyler Peters, our buddy, putting out some great stuff each and every week. Andy and I have articles up there as well. Not anything current, but we're working on it.
We are.
It's a busy season,
It's
y'all.
a very busy season.
But check out Wrestle Buddy. You're a great resource for anything editorial with wrestling news, all that kind of stuff. Check out Wrestle Buddy. All right. Our pipe bomb of the week, ladies and gentlemen. We started doing this a couple weeks ago. I'll go first because it seems like I'm putting you on the spot.
No. I know what mine is, but you can go first.
All right. I will go first.
As long as you don't take mine.
Okay. I definitely won't take yours. Okay. All right. I will start. We're going to put 25 seconds on the clock, and this is our chance to give our hot take of the week.
Someone just want to get off our chest.
Yeah, exactly. Just something that, just something we got to talk about.
Yeah,
this is our platform to do it. All right, 25 seconds. Here we go. This might be a hot take because I think this guy gets overlooked because he probably big picture impact on the wrestling business might not be there. But Edge is absolutely one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. There's just, last week on Raw, his promo proved it. You go back and watch his other stuff, it proves it. His accomplishments in the ring are insane. His comeback in 2020 is insane. Edge doesn't get enough love. He's one of the greatest of all time.
He is one of the greatest of all time, and he's spanned the generations. Yep. He's one of those kind of guys.
Yes.
And just the matches he puts on, he's kind of like Shawn and Jericho and some of these other guys of like the second run of their career has been better than their first.
Which is amazing because Edge won 31 championships in his first run.
But like matches we remembered, like the trilogy with Seth is ridiculous. Yep. The match with Randy at WrestleMania is long, but it's good. Yep. The greatest wrestling match of all time that was dubbed the next year or the next pay-per-view is not the greatest wrestling match of all time, but it's still pretty good. It's still pretty good. So like he's done a lot of good stuff that I think people
went back and
overlook.
The reason that sort of spawned this is I went back and I watched his 24 documentary.
Yeah.
The Second Mountain, which by the way, if you're watching this and you haven't seen that, please go back and watch it.
Yeah.
It is my favorite 24 documentary that they've ever done.
I think it's my second.
First is Seth's
return. Seth's return is really good.
Yeah, the Seth one is great.
Plus, I'm just a Seth mark, so that's fine.
The Seth one was my favorite until they produced the Edge one.
Yeah, the WrestleMania ones are really good too.
Yes,
they're very interesting.
But I went back and watched that this week for some reason, and it just proves to me like all the hard work that he put in, what he went through. Yeah, he is just one of the greatest of all time.
Absolutely.
All right, Andy, pie bomb, 25 seconds. Here we go.
So normally I rave over Triple H's booking, but it's not happening this week because I was literally fuming mad when Dominic Mysterio beat Johnny clean. Like the booking of Johnny Gargano since his return hasn't even been okay. It's been horrible. And I know Johnny has been on the record saying he's fine with it. He's enjoying it. It is absolutely a disgrace and horrible to see the way they've been booking Johnny Gargano. I still have time on the clock to spare, but it's fine.
Hot take. I was fine with Dominic beating him.
No, I'm fine. No, here's the thing. I'm fine with Dominic beating him. But clean is the problem.
Sure.
Like they're talking about Grayson Waller the whole time.
Yep.
And then you just have him lose to Dominic Mysterio, who, by the way, even in storyline, Dominic Mysterio sucks. But he beats Johnny Gargano clean. That doesn't make sense to me.
I definitely don't like the way that Johnny has been booked. I said this when Johnny came back, and we started having problems with the Miz storyline. Yeah. Or we started questioning it.
Yeah.
Because Johnny's had some really good matches. Chad Gable. Some of the stuff with the Miz has been, was good in ring stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff with Seth. Stuff with, whoever. I said this when he came back, and it's a shame, but I feel like they're in a holding pattern until Ciampa comes back.
Probably.
I think they're just trying to get Johnny through until Ciampa comes back.
My thing is, though, why not still make him look at least somewhat strong? Like I know. I thought it started at the Elimination Chamber because he looked like Johnny Takeover at Elimination Chamber.
He did.
And then nothing.
I know.
Like nothing since then.
I know. It's frustrating, and I'm a huge Johnny Gargano fan, as you are too, but it's frustrating. You kind of have to just sit and hope that that something turns a corner. I think people are still excited to watch him.
Yeah.
He doesn't nearly get the pop when he comes out that he used to.
Yeah.
I think music has a lot to do with
Yes,
that, unfortunately.
it does.
But, Johnny brought up a great point when he was on Busted Open last week about, and I didn't really take this to heart. I know we sort of talk about it sometimes. I didn't really take it to heart until he said it. But he said, we're wrestling in all these markets that I've literally never wrestled in my whole life.
Yeah.
So it's almost like he's trying to get himself over.
Yeah.
All over again.
It's the main roster that doesn't watch that didn't watch NXT.
Right.
And you have to get people over. But I would have thought if anybody who was booking could get an NXT guy over on the main roster,
I know,
it would be Triple H. And
Johnny's not even on the WrestleMania.
And Johnny's not even the only one. Karrion Kross.
Yeah.
Nothing. Bronson Reed. Nothing.
And none of them are on the Mania.
None of them are on the Mania card.
Yep. I think that's more troubling to me than the booking in general.
Yeah.
They don't even get a spot on the card.
No, he brought a lot of people back. And the only person that he brought back that has done anything of significance since they have come back is Bray.
And we see where Bray is now.
Yeah.
Nowhere to be found.
Johnny hasn't done anything. The only thing Hit Row has done is top dollar feuding with Michael Cole, which is pretty funny.
If there was ever a waste in bringing people back, it's Hit Row.
Because you need Swerve.
You can argue that Braun Strowman's
been good.
Has actually been
probably the best comeback.
One.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
It's so weird.
But him and Ricochet as a tag team works for some, this is the big dude and the little dude complex. It works. I don't know. I feel like all these people he brought back, Johnny, we thought would have had a WrestleMania match.
Yep.
And I think some of it may have been injury, maybe with Ciampa. Maybe they were going to do something with Styles and he's hurt. Because Johnny and AJ at WrestleMania would have been mwah. But he's hurt.
Listen, I'm booking it right now. We were talking about dream matches and stuff earlier.
Yep.
If you give me a triple threat match between AJ Styles, Seth Rollins, and Johnny Gargano, you just bury me now because I'm on cloud nine.
Just make it a Fatal 4-Way and throw Ciampa in there.
No. I'm talking the absolute perfection, best in-ring performers. Who you would throw in there is Adam Cole.
Yeah.
Adam Cole, AJ Styles, Seth Rollins, and Johnny Gargano.
Yeah. Honestly,
blows my mind.
Honestly, ready? Here's your hot take. This might be a hot take.
Oh boy,
Johnny's booking makes me happy. Adam Cole is not in WWE.
Oh, good point.
Because I feel like he would be in the same spot.
That's a good point. All right. Well, if you're digging what we're doing, if you're digging our hot takes, ladies and gentlemen,
Adam Cole next week.
Hit us up on social media at PBW Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Make sure that you respond to our hot takes. Let us know what you think. Let us know what your hot take is, ladies and gentlemen. Adam Cole's coming back next week, so we'll talk about that here in a bit. Make sure you follow us on social media. Make sure you subscribe wherever you find your podcast. Make sure you like the video on the BodySlam.net YouTube channel. Make sure you're following them as well. Follow WrestleBuddy, our partners over there, SportsWire Radio, Tom and the crew. We're working on details for something for next weekend with them. Don't know exactly what it's going to be yet, but keep it locked into our social media at PBW Podcast for all of that. Andy, let's answer some of the biggest questions in the world of wrestling this week. And we're going to start with the one that just seems to be making its rounds. What should be the night one main event of WrestleMania? Next question. I'm just kidding.
Honestly, I don't think anything else other than this could main event.
It wouldn't mean as much.
I get it. Charlotte and Rhea is probably the front runner for a lot of for some people to be the main event. And I get it. And if the story behind that was somewhat okay, I would be fine with that. But this is just the perfect storm of the Bloodline saga not coming to an end, but the next chapter of the Bloodline saga being the Usos main eventing night 1, Roman main eventing night 2. That to me makes the most sense. Plus, this is the story just as much, if not more, that fans are invested in than Cody. Like, I think fans are just as, if not more, invested in this than they are Cody and Roman.
I completely agree with you.
Roman's main eventing night 2. There's no, that match is absolutely main eventing night 2.
Here's the only pushback that I will give.
Yeah.
And I don't remember where I heard this. Mm-hmm. This is not my idea. Somebody else brought this up. I think it was probably Sam Roberts. But I think one reason that they might not do this night 1 is if both the Usos and Roman are losing their titles. And you have the exact same finish to night 1 and night 2.
I agree. But if you're going to end the night, both nights, with a shot.
Sure. Oh, I get it. Yeah.
Especially like, I can absolutely see the ending of night 2, Cody holding up those titles and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are in the ring with him holding up the tag titles.
I see that. And then you can do that, but you don't have to main event night 1 with it. Here's
the two longest reigning champions.
Yes.
Should main event. And that's the Usos and that's Roman. And if they're both going to lose, they need to lose in the main event. Especially if Jay turns on Jimmy.
But I don't think the Usos lose. So you can main event night 1, and I think the Usos win.
I think honestly, I think if this main events, I think the Usos win.
If this is WrestleMania prediction right here.
Go ahead.
Either Roman Reigns or the Usos are retaining their titles. You got to pick one. I do not think they both lose because I think that is the way to continue the bloodline story.
Yeah,
because you have to. Now we're going down this road of a bloodline power struggle. We're there.
Yeah.
How else do you add fuel to that fire?
Yeah.
Somebody has a title and somebody doesn't.
Which normally I would say the tag titles need to be lost before the world title.
Right. But this time it would be very interesting if they have the tag titles and Roman loses his. Bingo.
I'll say this. I don't think there's any way the bloodline outright retain everything.
Right.
Somebody's losing something.
Yep. Who is it? Now, even though we just sit here and suggested the Usos, there's a good chance, because I still haven't decided, I don't know where you're at, if Roman's losing or not. I really don't know.
I won't know until the bell rings and whoever's shoulders are down. That's when I'll
Well,
believe.
Next week, ladies and gentlemen, we're previewing both nights, and we're going to have to make a pick.
See, I can see a scenario where the bloodline lose everything. Because I think that makes it more interesting, because especially if Roman's taking time off and he loses everything, and then let's just say SummerSlam, Cody retains against, man, I want to say Seth. I want to say Seth, but Seth has already had that. But he retains against Seth.
He retains against Randy.
Roman's music hits.
Yep.
Out comes Roman again.
See, I think that if Roman is taking a break, I said this last week, and it just sounds so good that I'm going to stick with it. The Usos win their match.
Yep.
Roman takes a break. Jay comes out. Not necessarily Jimmy, because maybe Jimmy's on the fence. Jay comes out. Roman couldn't handle it.
Yep.
Roman dropped the ball. Now we're taking the bloodline to the next level. Blah, 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 blah. Similar to Triple H after Shawn Michaels lost at WrestleMania 14.
I'll give you another one.
Okay.
What if the ending shot of night 2 is not Cody holding the titles up, but it's the Usos and Solo beating down on Roman after he lost the title? And Roman's off TV for a while. We run with that. SummerSlam happens. Roman comes out. But to confront the bloodline.
I think.
And we get The Rock and Roman versus the Usos for the tag time split. That would be, I would be all right.
I'm not hating that. I'm not hating that. The only alternative I'm going to give you is I think if the title changes hands, that ending shot has to be Cody.
Yeah.
But you can do that the next night.
You can do that at the Raw after.
Cody's in the ring, bloodline comes out.
Yeah.
Then they jump Roman.
Yeah. I feel like...
I know it's more impactful at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
But I think finish the story.
Yeah.
This if Cody wins, if Cody wins it's not good enough if you don't make it just about Cody. It has to be about Cody.
Yeah, I could honestly see like Cody's up the ramp that holds both titles up. He's going to get pyro. Somebody's getting pyro that night. Pyro for night 2 is going to be ridiculous.
Yes, it is. I can't wait for. By the way, cannot wait for Cody's entrance. Cody's entrance.
It's going to be amazing.
It's going to be nuts.
It's going to be crazy. I hope Pharaoh's out there. Just wait till the pyro goes off and then Pharaoh comes out.
Brandy, DDP,
Arn.
Please, Arn. Please, Arn.
Man, listen, I would love it if Dustin was in the front row. And like they acknowledge Dustin was in the front row.
If he's there, they'll acknowledge it.
Yeah. They won't say what he's doing.
Nope.
But they'll just show Dustin and Cody will have a moment.
They can, yeah.
I wouldn't even be surprised if Dustin got in the ring with Cody after.
If Cody wins at the end, you better believe
cameras may be off when he gets in the ring with them. But
I don't think so.
But anyways, what I was gonna say is I could see I could see Cody with both titles going up the ramp. And then we cut back to Roman, who's in the ring, and like give him his moment. He just had the longest reigning title of the 21st century, whatever.
Yep.
Give him his moment.
Then they jump him.
And then they jump him. But it's still about Cody winning. Cody won, and he walked away, and then they jump Roman.
It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out.
I'm just going to say this. I'm not done. I'm not going to believe anything's over until the screen goes to black. You're not getting me with the pop-ups, Triple H. You're not getting me with it.
That's the thing. Is like I'm going to be in the building, so you're going to have to text me when we go off.
The logo's
air.
up. Yeah.
The logo's up. Yeah. Okay, all right. So to answer our question, what should main event night number 1?
I still think it's this. I think this is the biggest, but the best storyline, and the four of the most over guys in the company.
Yeah. You're not getting any argument for me. No, I mean you're not.
Yeah.
You could. Here's what you could do, if you're backing up on Charlotte and Rhea, and you don't want that. Main event it with Edge and Balor.
Yeah.
Drop Hell in a Cell and have that be the last match.
Yeah, I think that kicks off night 2.
Could, yeah.
But
no, I think it happens.
No, you kick off night 1 with, because I think they said April 1st for this one. Kick off the night with Logan and Seth.
I think,
and Seth wins.
I think Hell in a Cell happens night 1 so they can get the cell down, so it's not hanging over for both nights.
And for the final shot of Cody or Roman or whoever. Yeah.
Yeah. I know that's logistically production speaking, but I think
makes most sense.
You could end it with that if you're not going to end it with this.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about Charlotte and Rhea here in a minute, but either this or Hell in a Cell.
Yeah. I would say that. I would agree with that.
All right. Let's go to question number 2. Who attacked the Young Bucks?
Who shot JR?
Who attacked the Young Bucks? I am really interested to see how this plays out.
I am too. I think the most logical answer is Blackpool Combat Club.
Yep. There's another logical answer.
If it's Punk.
That's the logical one to me.
I think the storyline makes sense for it to be, especially with how the night ended, Blackpool Combat Club. Which, by the way, heel Blackpool Combat Club, I am enjoying a lot.
See, and we'll talk about the ending here in just a second, but I am, obviously, Blackpool Combat Club, CM Punk are the obvious choices.
Yeah.
I have both of those written down in my notes here.
Yeah.
But I also have this written on my notes. I hope it's somebody else.
Yeah.
Because if it's somebody else, I can't say who. I'm not going to give a prediction. What do you think?
Adam Cole.
Okay. If it's somebody else, Adam Cole, then we unearth a whole new layer to this whole thing that we didn't see coming.
Yeah.
If you can swerve me and it's totally not who I thought it was, sign me up.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. But man, if it's Punk.
I know.
Like if it's, I don't know what to. We're going to talk about Punk here again in a little bit. I think we're heading to probably Kenny and Moxley,
right?
Or Kenny and Page versus Moxley and
Claudio.
Probably just the Elite versus Blackpool Combat Club, but there's because Bryan Danielson's not really a part of them anymore. So they'd have to bring somebody else in.
Yeah, Wheeler.
It's only 3 though.
Well, you just
the Elite would have 4. You would have the Young Bucks.
Oh yeah, Kenny
and Paige.
And Paige, that's right. Yeah. Or the Bucks are out.
You just do Kenny and Paige.
Kenny Page against Claudio and Mox. Or
Kenny Page and Evil Uno versus
Kenny Page and Adam Cole
versus Blackpool Combat Club.
And that's where Adam Cole does his thing.
Yeah. That's where, I know we're talking about Adam Cole turning heel. I would love to see a heel Page. Hangman as a heel.
I don't know if it would work. Yeah.
But if
I know
the violence-wise, he's like Moxley. The violence-wise, he could absolutely pull off as a heel. But people just love him.
Sure they do.
Like, I don't know how. I think it would be one of those. He wouldn't actually be a heel.
Right. It'd be like Adam Cole, really.
It'd be like Moxley. Like, Moxley's a heel, and people still pop when he comes out.
I know. It's insane. Because we're accustomed to the pop when that music hits.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm interested to see where this goes.
I am too.
I honestly am. Like, we sit here and say that it's obvious that it could be the Blackpool Combat Club. We say that it's obvious that it could be Punk.
Yep.
Even more because they covered up his face on the thing.
Which is
that
amazing.
could have been intentional. I know it was intentional because they intentionally covered up.
Right.
But that could be
why they did it.
Why they covered it up. Exactly.
Or just to troll them, one of the two.
Exactly. But, like, it's not obvious, and that's what's exciting about it.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know. I'm interested to see how it plays out.
There's multiple choices. Look, this was a bad week for people who like to say AEW doesn't do storytelling that well.
Right.
Because
they did it well.
This was the theme throughout the entire night.
Yep.
Which led into the main event, which was ridiculous.
Yep.
But when AEW tells a story, like when they get their teeth in a story, they tell a really good story.
I think the issue that I have with it, and this is a rabbit hole that we don't have to continue to rehash and go down, I think the issue is they don't ever do more than one at a time. Like when they sink their teeth into a story, they can clearly, they can do it well. MJF and CM Punk clearly did it well. Kenny and Mox, or, the Hangman and Kenny and all that, done really, really well, but one at a time.
I think that's every promotion, though. Like right now,
you could say that.
I think right now going to WrestleMania, obviously there's 2 matches, but it's all the same story.
Sure it is. Yep.
And everything else,
I can see that
is not good. I think that's just.
It's a valid argument.
I think when the story is this good, like with this, especially with the Bloodline, when the story is this good, people are only there to see that happen.
Yep. I think it's a valid argument.
Which is not necessarily a bad thing, because that's how you get people in to watch everything else. But if your main story sucks, then the rest of the show doesn't matter.
Right.
And I think that's why they focus. I think that's why companies focus so much on telling that one story so well, that all the other stories kind of suffer from it.
Remember a couple months ago when the Bloodline and the Bray Wyatt story was going on at the same time, and we were losing our minds.
Yeah, and then the Bray stuff fell off quickly.
Off the rails.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of that main event, that is going to be our third question, is not necessarily this specific main event.
Yeah.
Because this main event
that was ridiculous.
Was insane. Oh my gosh.
Best TV match of the year by far for both any show.
Hands down, case closed.
Might be one of the best AEW TV show matches of all time, if not the best.
Kenny and Brian.
Kenny and Brian. Paige and Brian, too.
Yep. And didn't Paige have a death match?
With Adam Cole.
Yeah, on TV. Yeah.
On Rampage. That was on Rampage, wasn't it?
I think you're
right. It was on Good Friday.
I think you're right. Oh,
yeah. Because they did the Crown of Thorns
thing. Yeah, that's right. I blocked that out of my mind. You know that a TV match is good. The crowd is literally standing for the whole match.
Yes.
The whole match.
Yeah. Here's the thing about this.
It's crazy.
Here's the thing about this one is most really good matches start off a little slow and then progressively build as it goes on.
Progressively get faster.
Yes. This thing started off fast and got faster and he did not make one mistake.
El Hijo del Vikingo. That's who we're talking about.
Vikingo is ridiculous.
Dude's insane.
As soon as this match was over, I was like, I need to see him in Ospreay. I need to see him in Ricochet.
Mm-hmm. Apparently, there's a match. Have you seen the one with him and Rey Fenix?
I have not, but that is another one that I need to go watch right now.
I got the link sent to me. I haven't watched it yet, so I'll send it your way.
Please do, because
apparently it's stupid.
My goodness, like it's just ridiculous how good how balanced this dude was.
What's insane is if you watch Justin Roberts' video that he posted of the Springboard 630.
He hits his head on the apron.
Dude literally almost died.
Yeah, he almost died like 3 times.
Yeah,
because he hit the Poison Rana where I'm pretty sure he landed on his head.
Right
on that one. I think Kenny went for the avalanche power bomb.
The
he reversed
Rana
in midair that he hit the Hurricane Rana on. He hit a suicide dive at one point where he almost hit his head, and then it's just he almost he almost. But he didn't, which means it was perfect. It was perfect.
The margin
ridiculous.
For error in this match
was so small.
So small.
It could have gone south very quickly.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. You know what this match reminded me? Kenny Omega is one of the best wrestlers in the daggum world.
He's pretty good.
You can't put just anybody in the ring with this kid.
Yeah.
Wardlow would not have this kind of a match with him.
But Wardlow would have a really good match with him.
He would have a really good match with him. But Kenny was the only guy, other than maybe Bryan Danielson, which, by the way, him versus Bryan Danielson, I need to see as well. Those are probably the only two you could put in the ring with him and get this kind of a match and make both guys look like $1 million.
This is insane.
It was ridiculous how good this match was.
The real question that we have to answer here is what's been floating around online, and a lot of people are not happy with it, and I can see the point.
Yeah.
Are you a fan of AEW bringing in these guys for these one-off matches, these one-off main events, no matter how good they are?
Yep.
What's your take on it?
I think it's fine, depending on the story that's with it. And I know there's no story behind this match, but it kind of fed. The story was at the beginning, and it fed through. Plus, the story is kind of there because Kenny, he's the AAA champion. Kenny never lost that AAA championship because he had to vacate it. So, there's still some things there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel because we also talk about Nick Gage showing up for a random, but that made sense because
it was part of the story.
MJF called him to make sure he finished the job on Jericho.
Yep.
I think it's fine. It gives these people a spotlight, and it gives them a moment. It gives them a chance to shine. But it also, if I'm a promotion, if I'm AAA, I'm very happy right now.
Sure.
I'm very at GCW with Nick Gage. I'm very happy because you're putting us on the map even more so. And so
it's totally beneficial for AEW's relationships.
It is,
and
especially when they treat the people they're bringing in as well as they don't win, but they look like $1 million when the bell rings.
Most of the people that they bring in are in main events.
Yeah,
Jeff Cobb next week is coming in, and I know that there's clearly a more working relationship with New Japan than anywhere else.
Right.
But Jeff Cobb's coming in next week.
Yeah, and Vikingo obviously coming in, working the main event. Nick Gage worked the main event that night as well. And it's not like they do it every week.
Right.
It's only certain, and here's the thing about AEW. Yes, they tell stories, but they want to put on the best matches and the dream matches they can put on.
Sure.
And that's kind of what they are doing with some of these matches. And it works really well. I mean, if you look at because I'm not huge into ratings or demographics or whatever.
It's totally different now than it used to be. Nobody should pay attention to it.
Exactly. But the ratings when this main event started for AEW jumped massively.
Sure they did.
Because people wanted to see this.
Yeah. Of course they did. Here's the negative that I'll bring up in the whole thing, because I can see one side where that they do. Obviously, we just discussed it, and it's fine.
Yeah.
I can see one side where it's not good, though, and that being that you got a plenty big enough roster as it is.
Yeah.
And you got to think about those guys and gals who you do have signed that have come out and busted their butts for what we talked about last week, the 3-minute matches or whatever that they have.
Yeah.
And then you're pulling teeth and, all of this kind of crazy stuff to bring in somebody to have a match that did really well. Nobody's arguing that.
Right.
But what does that say about how would you feel if you were a wrestler backstage?
Right.
Who we don't have house shows. Now, I know they did one last weekend, but that's not the point. We don't have house shows. I'm not featured in Ring of Honor.
Mm-hmm.
I got the call. I'm showing up. They've got nothing for me in the 4 hours that they're taping, and they're bringing somebody in. I think that is where a lot of the pushback is.
Yeah, and I completely agree because I know that feeling would be terrible.
Yep.
Then I put myself in Tony Khan's shoes, and it's like you can't pass up this opportunity.
Agree. Yeah.
It's a double-edged sword, no matter what you do.
I think this discussion might be a little bit different how we not come off such a banger.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And like that's the case with all these guys they bring in, though. Like their matches, if the matches were terrible,
they wouldn't bring him in.
They wouldn't bring him in.
Right.
Like, and I think that's the point.
If we had come off, let's say for instance, let's go back to the Jericho MJF situation where he's putting him through all this stuff.
Yeah.
Gage was good.
Yep.
Cool. I don't even remember what else they did, but the one off spotlight is Juventud.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The story fits.
Yeah.
If you know anything about Jericho, you know he has a history with Hoovy.
Yep.
Okay. Congratulations. That match wasn't great.
No.
It was good.
Yep.
It was nostalgic, but it was not great.
And I think that's the thing is the match may not have been good, but the story they were telling behind who they brought in made it to where people wanted to see it.
Sure.
Like, I think that's the thing is like, because I know another thing I've been hearing people say is like, they bring in these people that nobody knows and expect us to watch. Yeah, because look at what you get when you bring guys in you don't know. But also, like, that's what every wrestling promotion does.
Yep.
Brock Lesnar debuted. Did they tell who he was? Did they explain who he was? Did they do a video package of who he was?
Right.
No, he just showed up and started murdering people, and then people wanted to see it. So, like, I think wrestling fans today, and I'm going to put WWE fans in there the most because they've been catered to like this the most because of the way things ran for so long. They have to be told everything.
Sure.
Like, some people have to be told everything. Who this person is. Why should I care? Versus sometimes, like, just let them go out and do their thing. And now Vikingo is one of the most talked about wrestlers in the world this week because of what happened.
I think too. Like, I think I'm in that boat. Honestly, like, not that I need to be told everything.
Yeah.
But if somebody hadn't told me before this match, make sure you watch this match, I'm probably not tuning into watching it, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to. There's enough wrestling content on right now that I'm not going to seek something out of a guy I don't know versus if somebody's wrestling that I do know that I know I'm going to get something out of.
Right.
Now, again, as I said just a few minutes ago, this is an outlier in my opinion because it was so dang good.
Yeah.
I'm not saying all the rest of them aren't good. This was just another level of good, you know? So it almost makes this question a moot point that we even talk about it.
Right.
Versus if it would have been one where it was just fine, then there's a little bit more discussion to be had.
Yeah, and I agree with that. But I feel like I just feel like if the matches are good, which this one, like we talked about, was really good, then it is what it is. It's fine. I don't feel like we need to do a video package on every new guy we bring in.
But I think you do, though. And I think the reason is because, yes, the AEW fan base is more of a niche group than WWE. But at the same time, there is that niche fan base who doesn't know who this guy is.
Yeah.
So I think you do need something. You have to, because, like I said, even if I'm watching and I hear this guy's going to wrestle, there's a chance I'm going to sit and play on my phone while the match happens.
Yeah.
You know? So I need to be excited for the guy.
I agree. I think the only thing is if they're going to put a Kenny Omega in the ring with somebody, then you know it's going to be, like, you have to watch it. Like, that to me, that's the thing is, if they just brought in somebody to wrestle Danhausen,
right,
that's one thing.
Right.
But you bring in somebody to wrestle Chris Jericho. You bring in somebody to wrestle Kenny Omega. You bring Timothy Thatcher in to wrestle Bryan Danielson.
But don't you think, too, like, I get that, but don't you think, too, that we talked about their storytelling and weaving this Kenny Omega and the Bucks story through the whole show Like, that's part of it.
Yeah.
So that's another way to help facilitate that story. And don't you want somebody who is watching at the very beginning who is not sure if they're going to watch the whole show or not?
Yeah.
And you see a video package of this guy, and then you say, he's wrestling in the main event tonight. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm sticking around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that. But also, like, I think they didn't want to ruin the spectacle. Like, they didn't want to show what he was going to do. But
no, I get that.
But I don't know. I feel like the reason why we don't like long-term storytelling now is because we're too impatient and we just want stuff given to us.
Sure.
And handed to us and explained to us instead of letting it play out, which I do that all the time. Like there've been a lot of stories that have happened where I'm like, man, this is terrible. And then we let it play out and it wasn't that bad.
Yep.
But we just got to be more patient and just be like, yeah, if they're going to bring, this isn't for everybody.
Right.
So like, I feel like they're playing to their crowd more than playing to the casual.
I agree with that. All right, let's move on. The fourth biggest question in the world of wrestling this week. What in the world?
From good storytelling to bad.
What is this feud with Bianca and Asuka? And I'm going to add to this question. You can throw Charlotte and Rhea into this too. Why are both of the big-time women's matches at Mania, why are we not telling stories with this?
I think we're getting more of a story with Rhea and Charlotte than Asuka and Bianca.
I think
because
within the last week.
Because Rhea's looking for redemption from WrestleMania 36.
Yeah,
like that's the story for me that I'm understanding.
Like I wanted Rhea even like a month ago to come out and cut a promo about Rick. Or come out and do something.
Yeah.
You got to throw shots at Charlotte because Charlotte is also, and we'll get to Bianca and Asuka in a second. Charlotte is also I can't even talk. Let me try that again. Rewind. Charlotte is also fighting an uphill battle here because she's trying to be a babyface for the first time in her career.
And it's not really working.
And it's hard.
Especially when you're in the ring facing some, like, the most over woman in the WWE right now.
Right.
In Rhea. Like,
exactly.
People love Rhea.
So you're fighting an uphill battle. Yeah. So I would, if I was Rhea, I'm taking shots at Rick.
Yeah.
I'm doing something like that to really poke at the fans to try to get them to hate me more. Because right now, like you said, she's cutting heel promos.
And people are cheering.
She's doing stuff with Dominic.
Yeah.
And people are eating it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is why I think she should split from the Judgment Day after WrestleMania.
Probably.
Hot take.
Probably. No, I agree. I that probably should happen. Especially if she wins the title.
Yep.
I think.
Just go now.
But with Bianca and Asuka, there is no story. Like the story is Asuka won a match, and now she's the number one contender, and she's just going to spit blue mist and Carmella and Chelsea Green.
Now she did finally attack Bianca on Raw last week.
Yeah,
she finally got physical.
Yeah,
for the first time. We've been waiting on it for a month, and she did.
That's it.
I'm going to say this and try to sound as sensitive as possible.
Uh-oh.
I think a lot of this lack of story is because Asuka can't cut promos.
Maybe. But even then, she doesn't need to cut promos.
But if
she can just yell in Japanese and be crazy and people will buy it.
I know, but if she doesn't cut promos, like, don't you think we're right back to where we are right now?
No, because I think... One, I think it makes it harder, obviously, but I think you can tell a story without cutting promos.
I think you can, but I think Bianca is such a smiley babyface.
Yeah.
That you need that other side. I mean, again, Asuka can tell her story with her paint without promos.
Right.
But I think this shows the value of a good promo to help tell a story.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like Bianca could be the one cutting promos, and
she's not good at them though.
Asuka can do something with it.
Bianca's not good though.
She's fine. I mean, she can get the job done to certain levels. I'll say this though, like when the bell rings, this match is gonna be amazing. I'm still excited for the match.
I could care less what this dang story is. Because when the bell rings, it's going to rock.
I think that might be what they're thinking is,
nobody
cares about the story.
Just watch the match.
Just gonna watch the match. It's gonna be fun. Like
watch the match.
It's gonna probably steal the show like Bianca matches always do.
You know, I almost made the argument earlier in the show that this could main event night 1, but the story is terrible.
Yeah.
So I don't think it warrants main eventing.
I think this kicks off night 2.
Ooh, that's good. I like that.
But here's my problem: is I think every champion might lose at WrestleMania, which means they're not all gonna lose. Because, like, if Asuka doesn't beat Bianca, who's going to beat Bianca? Not Becky, because we've already told that story.
And then you've wasted this character change with Asuka.
Exactly. But Rhea is the most over person in the company right now. One of the most over. Like, she's the most
Rhea's
over.
Gotta win.
She's got to win.
That's why I'm telling you, I think the Usos retain.
Okay, even if the Usos retain, I think Gunther's going to lose his title.
I think he retains too.
Maybe. But Sheamus at WrestleMania never winning the IC title. It fits, man. It fits.
I think if anybody wins that match, we'll talk about this next week, but I think if anybody wins that, it's Drew.
Oh, I don't think so. I think Sheamus more than Drew.
I think Gunther more than any of them.
I think Cena beats Theory. Which, by the way, that story is not even really a story because it was just Cena burying Theory, and then we're just doing nothing from that point on.
We'll get to WrestleMania next week. We're throwing out predictions. I know.
The main story in this WrestleMania is the best story they've ever told.
Right.
Like we talked about this a couple weeks ago. Last week, I completely think it is the best story WWE has ever told.
Yep.
Everything else, storyline wise, maybe other than the triple threat.
Yep.
Not that good.
Right.
Not that good. Especially Brock and Omos. Like,
that
horrible.
Well, yeah, but that's
a spectacle. Nobody cares about the story. They just want to see two big boys throwing each other.
That's an outlier that wasn't supposed to happen. That if you believe the dirt sheets, it wasn't supposed to happen, and now it was thrown together last minute. It is what it is.
Yeah.
All right. Number 5. This is a question we added at the last minute that came up yesterday.
Yeah.
CM Punk posted an Instagram story about what happened with the squash match with Jon Moxley. There were shots fired at Jericho, at Meltzer, at Moxley, at Tony Khan.
Yeah.
It just bleeds into this whole CM Punk situation. Sum it up as best you can what you make of this new wrinkle to this whole thing.
I don't even know. Here's the thing. I believe
it's what we said before we started recording.
Yeah.
There is a nugget of truth somewhere in this whole thing.
Yeah. And I lean more towards Punk.
Of course you do,
in
Homer.
this case. But dude, I love Moxley just as much as I love Punk. Like Moxley's my guy. The thing I have a hard time believing is Moxley refusing to lose.
That's me.
That's the one I have a hard time believing.
I do not believe that happened in the least.
Yeah, I don't believe that. But everything else he kind of put in there, I can absolutely kind of see being true. Especially because we saw how AEW handled the Matt Hardy falling off in the ladder neck first situation and still let him go.
Yeah, that is what I hate with the whole Punk thing is that they wanted him to wrestle.
Yeah.
When he wasn't cleared.
Yeah.
Like, I hate that.
It's like if a guy just came back from injury and he's not comfortable being in the ring yet,
and you want him to just go out there and it's just a squash. It's just a squash.
Especially if you're going to tell the story at All Out. Yep. Or not All Out. Was it All Out?
No, it was the one before that. Double or Nothing.
Double or Nothing. Yep. Especially if you're heading to Double or Nothing like that.
Yep.
Like, you don't need to have the squash match.
It took away from the Double or Nothing match.
It did.
And I said it when it happened, and I'll keep saying it.
Yeah. I kind of believe what he says about Jericho a little bit.
I think that Jericho could be somewhat of a stooge, but he's been in the business for so long that he doesn't care.
Yeah.
But I also think that Jericho is trying to protect AEW as best he can.
I think he's trying to protect Tony too. Like,
yes.
Like, I think Jericho loves Tony, which is
right
weird to me.
Yes, I agree.
But I think he's trying to protect because he protected Vince all the time too.
He did. Yeah.
Like he's a company guy. Whatever company he's in, he's a company guy.
Yep.
We saw that with the comments of he wouldn't want to be anywhere else in the world than AEW.
Right.
If that's true, then hey, good for him. But I don't know. I feel like there's a little truth and a lot of lies in what everybody is saying.
Absolutely.
What Punk says, what Moxley says, what Jericho says, what Tony says, what Meltzer says.
Well, I mean, let's relate this to real life. I know this is real life.
Right.
We're debating if this is a work or not.
Right.
I know this is real life.
I don't think it's a work.
Let's relate this to what you or I would go through. Let's say that you and I go hang out with our softball team.
Yeah.
After I'm making the scenario up, but it's going to make sense. After we go win a couple of games, our softball team is hanging out, and we're playing ping pong.
Yeah.
Okay? Because that's the thing right now. Okay? We're playing ping pong. We're hanging out.
Yeah.
All right? And we went through our roster the other day. There's going to be like 15 of us.
Yeah.
Okay? We walk away from that night, and the next day, let's say that me and you and our wives get together and we're having dinner, and they both ask us how last night went.
Yeah.
What'd you guys do?
Yeah.
You and I are going to tell two different stories.
Yeah.
There's going to be some truth.
Yeah.
We're going to agree on some things that happened, but you experienced it differently than I did.
Yeah. Like, it's like a car wreck.
Yeah.
There's going to be a different side to every story. There are things Punk says that add up.
There are things that Jericho says.
There are things that Jericho says that add up.
There are things that the Bucks said.
That add up.
Yeah.
I will say this, though. Punk's rant at the all-out brawl, it was all out. Because that's where he did the post all-out brawl. This is where he went crazy. So it was all out.
No, because that was...
Punk win the title from Moxley.
That's right. It was all out.
So it was all out.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yep.
The things Punk said in that press conference, the way he said it, shouldn't have said it the way he said it. But some of the things he said are kind of coming to light and being a little true. But then again, and I saw somebody else say this, and I kind of agree. I think it's no secret that Jericho doesn't like Punk.
Right.
And it's no secret that there are a lot of people in the locker room that don't like Punk.
Sure.
And I think they know they can get a certain reaction out of him if they say certain things. And I think that might be playing into this as well, is maybe Punk's somewhat in the right, but they're going to push him past his limit and do that too.
I agree with that. I think there are definitely, especially with a young locker room like AEW has, I definitely agree with that. The one I have a problem with, and I think it's just like you continuing to go to bat for Punk, which I'm not going to argue with. I keep going back to Jericho.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jericho is so far past in this business being a stirrer of crap. I just feel like he's over that. You know, because he did his stuff with Goldberg, he did his stuff with Brock, or what have you. But in all of those situations, he has proven himself to be a company guy. We just said that.
Right.
He's trying to do what's best for the company. I think in that and the role he's been given in AEW, I just feel like, again, my opinion, I just think he's past the point of stirring crap up.
Yeah, unless it's to save AEW. I mean, if Punk is considered a cancer in the locker room, he's going to do whatever he can to keep him out of the locker room.
Well, yeah. I guess.
I mean, I see this both ways. I see this. I
see it because more than both ways. It's like five ways.
I can see where everybody's coming from, though, and why they believe what they believe.
Yeah, for sure.
Except for Moxley refusing to lose. That's the only thing that I don't believe.
I absolutely do not believe that. Not in the slightest do I believe that.
Yeah, but...
Because, again, if there's anybody that's a company guy,
it's Moxley.
Moxley's an AEW guy.
Yeah.
He's a company guy.
So
he's going to do what you ask him to do. Especially now that he went through rehab and he got clean and all this other stuff. And there's no way. I don't think that
I don't get, because Punk even cut that promo praising Moxley for getting the help that he needed. And, like, there's a lot that adds up and there's a lot that doesn't add up.
I know. Yep. I know. I agree.
But
all right. We're running long on this show. Thank you guys for tuning in with us.
There's been a lot of rabbit holes.
We appreciate it. Yeah, there's been a lot of rabbit holes. I've got one more big picture wrestling question here
that I
did not tell you I was going to ask you.
Oh, no.
Before, this is going to be quick because I know what the answer is going to be. I'll ask you anyway. Before we get to our viewer questions, we're going to do that at PBW Podcast. If you want to submit those viewer questions, we will get to them. And then I know we got a busy next couple of weeks on the show, but we'll do our best to get to some viewer questions. Question number 6. Goldberg's a free agent.
Oh, I knew this was going to be asked at some point.
Is he going to AEW?
No.
Let me rephrase the question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Take your bias out of it.
Uh-huh.
Is he going to AEW?
No. There's not a spot for him. Because you
don't think that if the money was right, Tony Khan would create a spot for Goldberg?
Oh, no, I'm not saying that. But, Lou, we just talked about a controversial guy backstage. You're going to bring in another one?
Let me tell you who would help in this whole situation, who's buddies with him. Jericho.
Even Jericho would know, though. Especially...
Jericho and Goldberg are buddies.
Yeah, I know. Oh, no, I know. But here's the thing. AEW has yet to bring in a legend who is not still somewhat capable in the ring.
In the right situation. Goldberg can still be capable. 3-minute match, spear, jackhammer, done?
Yeah, but nobody wants to see him do that to AEW young talent.
Well, who says he's going to do it to AEW young talent?
And nobody wants to see him to do it to someone like Kenny Omega, or that would... No, I don't see how... I see a scenario where Goldberg's in AEW. Mm-hmm. I don't see how it ends well.
That's a fair point.
If that makes sense.
Because that's a totally different question.
That's a totally different question. I think there is a scenario where Goldberg is in AEW. There is no scenario where it ends well.
Okay.
Because it didn't end well in WWE.
So your final answer right now, is Goldberg going to be in AEW?
No.
I'm saying yes.
I think there's a better chance that Nia Jax shows up in AEW more than Goldberg.
I think Goldberg shows up in AEW.
Well, let me ask you this. In what sense do you mean Goldberg showing up in AEW?
Goldberg shows up and wrestles in AEW.
Okay. I think there's a chance Goldberg shows up. I think Goldberg might show up to put over Wardlow and to talk up Wardlow. I don't think he wrestles.
I absolutely see him wrestle Wardlow, for sure.
As long as Wardlow squashes him.
Wardlow, well, I mean, every Goldberg match is a squash match. It's just depending on which way it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. He comes in.
I just know AEW knows their audience. And Goldberg is part of the reason why AEW got created, because nobody wanted to see these legends come in and do this to people.
Goldberg's coming to AEW.
Nah, I don't think so.
All right, let's get to some viewer questions. Hey, if you think, let us know at PBW Podcast, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Do you think Goldberg's coming to AEW? This will be an interesting discussion to have over the next couple of months.
Wrestle in AEW. I think that's a better way to put it. Do you think Goldberg wrestles in AEW?
Does Goldberg come in and wrestle in AEW? All right. I think yes. All right, here we go. Viewer questions. Number 1 from our boy. We're going to try to hit these real quick, guys. From our boy Rosario Grillo, who was on the show a couple weeks ago. If you missed that episode, go back and check it out. Fantastic interview with him. You also saw him in the intro of this show. Question from Grillo. If you could take a tag team from the 80s and 90s and put them on TV today as if they were in their prime, who would you pick?
I mean, it's hard not to pick Tully and Arn.
I just think FTR is so similar to them.
Right, but I mean, we see what FTR can do with everybody.
I know.
So I think that would be really interesting. The other one I thought of was, and I know this is kind of a cop-out, but the Rockers.
I like it. Yeah.
The Rockers versus the Young Bucks? Oh, absolutely. It's like looking in a mirror.
My first instinct was the Midnight Express.
Yeah.
But again, I think...
They're still wrestling, aren't they?
No, Bobby Eaton passed away.
Oh, no. Who am I thinking? I'm thinking Rock and Roll.
Yes.
Rock and Roll Express. Never mind.
Their biggest rival. No, my instinct was the Midnights.
Yeah.
But again, FTR. But I'm going to pick guys that are on the screen. I want Demolition. Because there is no tag team out there right now like Demolition. You bring me Demolition in their prime, they're better in the ring than the Road Warriors are.
Yeah.
They can cut promos.
Yeah.
Put them out there. They're menacing. Nobody's like them. Sign me up. I'd put Demolition out there.
Yeah. I'll tell you a random one and a weird one. Which they kind of came back in NXT for like a match, I think, or a segment. Too cool.
Well, Brian Christopher passed away, so I don't think we're doing that.
Yeah, but too cool.
Yeah. I also like the Hart Foundation.
Well, yeah.
Heart
Who's not
Foundation?
going to like the Hart Foundation wrestling?
Hart Foundation would be very cool. But I think if I had to pick one,
Yeah.
I would pick Demolition.
If I still would pick Tully and Arn. Like, I know they're very similar to FTR, but FTR puts on good matches with everybody, so why break that?
This question was an interesting one. It's from Andrew Moore, fellow BodySlam.net contributor, host of Tease and Tights, a great British wrestling podcast. Make sure you guys go check that out on the BodySlam.net YouTube channel as well. His question is, what is your least favorite trope in wrestling? Now, the word trope, defined as, and again, I asked Andrew, I'm just going to be fully transparent. I asked Andrew for clarification on this. He did not get back with me before time of recording. No big deal. The word trope is a figurative or a metaphorical phrase.
Yeah.
So I think we also took that as a stereotype in wrestling.
Yeah.
For lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Least favorite trope.
Yeah.
In wrestling.
So I picked two. One that goes with the metaphor, one that goes with the stereotype. The metaphor, I've always hated this when Rey Mysterio came out and they called him the biggest little man in wrestling or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
Just let him be Rey. You don't have to. You don't have to put that title on him. Like, I know in the land of the giants, blah 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 blah, but that's what sticks out the most. You don't have to say that, is because we know he is the smallest guy, but he can beat anybody at any point.
Absolutely. I think anything JR says,
slobber knocker,
just drives me nuts. Stomping a mud hole, walking it dry, tougher than a $2 steak.
Yeah,
like I'm over. I know that's a cop out.
Yeah, I forget who he called. Like a couple of weeks ago, he called Julia Hart at Revolution a harlot.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah,
that's all. Like, oh, JR, buddy,
just
stop. My other one is like the stereotype is wrestlers automatically losing in their hometown. Which is kind of why we have this picture. It's like the greatest picture of that kind of happening.
Yes.
Not saying that if you're in your hometown, you automatically have to win, but like I think back to like Bayley versus Alexa Bliss for the Raw Women's title. Bayley lost in a terrible match because she was in her hometown. Like there are certain times where it's not needed to happen like that.
I think my stereotype is probably in it. It goes through its ebbs and flows, but that small guys can't be world champion.
Yep.
Can't be like the big top dog.
Yep.
Like
that's not as true today, but it still holds up a lot.
We got Roman in a 3-year reign. I'm not saying that, whatever.
Right.
But because to me, as a wrestling fan, I'm more apt to get excited about a smaller guy being champion. I'm not saying small guy like Rey Mysterio. I'm not saying he can't be champion.
Right.
I'm just saying when you see a normal looking guy like Adam Cole, who is the world champion, or a Tommaso Ciampa,
or Kevin Owens,
yeah, perfect example. As a wrestling fan, who's watching, I'm more inspired. Like, man, somebody like me can do that, or whatever. Not this big jacked up musclehead like Hulk Hogan or what have you.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and I think that fits more with Adam. Like, it fits with all of them, but like I think the biggest argument that's used against Adam Cole, it's like, dude, I don't care. He's good. That's all I care about.
The bell has to ring, ladies and gentlemen.
Which
like he said in his promo last.
When he buried Karrion Kross a couple of years ago, and then said it last night.
Exactly.
Or Wednesday night, he does that.
The freaking bell has to ring. Yeah. All right. Next question from our buddy Chad Fleener, one of our biggest longtime supporters ever on this podcast. Thank you, Mr. Fleener. This picture on our screen is not coming across well, so we do apologize. But question is the best looking title of all time. Man. Chad, in his tweet, said he likes the red and silver NWA television title, which they still use to this day. I'm fairly certain, or at least a version of it.
It looks good.
All right. We're going to also parlay this into your least favorite looking title.
Yeah.
So we'll get both ends of the spectrum here. What you got, Andy?
I think the obvious choice and like the main choice a lot of people pick is the Winged Eagle.
Okay.
I think a lot of people like that, or the Smoking Skull. But my favorite, and I know I'm the indie mark, blah blah blah, whatever. I don't care. The older, not the new one, but the last IWGP World Heavyweight Championship is beautiful. I absolutely love it. I think it looks, because the new one looks good only on certain people, but that one looks good on like everybody that held it. So I love the IWGP World Title.
That's my least favorite looking title.
The old one?
Yep.
Are you kidding me?
Nope.
Dude, there's a big butterfly belt, and you picked that one?
Either that or the AEW Championship.
Oh,
is
no.
my least favorite.
See, now you're just a shield right now.
No. Ever since that title came out, I've hated it.
No, they're good. I like them both.
Hated it. You know what the best looking title of all time is?
What?
The big gold belt.
Yeah, that one.
There is nothing more beautiful than that big gold belt. I wish the color would pop a little more on it. I wish you could kind of read it or whatever. But it's either that or is it on there? No, that's only world titles. The 1990s Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah.
I love that belt too.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I like the gold one. I like the World Heavyweight Championship one. It's just a little, I don't know, it's just a little bland.
It is.
but
it's
it's great. The worst championship belt, I mean, the Divas title is horrible.
You put 24/7 title up there?
No, because it's not a big butterfly.
Okay.
The Divas title is horrible, or the U.S. spinner belt.
U.S. spinner belt's not bad. It's that spinner belt that's in the middle that's worse.
No, the U.S. one's worse than that one.
No, that one's way worse.
If that one didn't spin, that one would be fine.
Nah, it's terrible. All right.
I'll say this. Punk looked good in that one.
Cena's the only one that made that one look okay. Like
Edge. Because Edge introduced the spinner part of it, didn't he?
No, the spinner
Or
part was
Cena
already
did.
Cena. He just moved
That's
it to
right.
a rated
Yeah.
R. No, what was the worst thing was when Triple H held that title.
Yes.
That's when you knew it was bad.
Yeah.
When Triple H
It's so bad when The Rock won it, he's like, nope.
No way.
Bringing this other one that's just so boring.
Also from our buddy Chad Fleener, thoughts on Shane Douglas, why he didn't get a big push. Chad, this is a fun conversation to have.
Yeah. I'm probably not the best person to have this conversation with, because I literally know like next to nothing about Shane Douglas. But what I will say is, and I'm sure you're going to go into more detail, so this is going to be more you than me. Probably the same reason why Punk got held back a lot, and why some other people have gotten held back a lot. Mr. Kennedy's, I think, another like perfect example of they were destined to get a big push, and then they were terrible to work with. Yep. And can't do anything, and nothing made them happy. If it wasn't their way, they weren't going to do it, and it just did not work out.
Shane Douglas was unfortunately wrong place, wrong time in WWE. He came in during the reign of the Clique. And if you didn't get along with the Clique,
you didn't make it in the company.
See ya! And Shane Douglas did not get along with the Clique, and they didn't like working with him in the ring. And I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong, but it's the way it was in 1995. But no, I also think Shane had some injuries in that WWE run. He did some stuff in WCW in the early 90s, and of course, most famously, the first ECW champion, throwing down the NWA belt.
Okay.
Going from Eastern Championship Wrestling to Extreme Championship Wrestling. Shane was at the forefront of that. Did a run in WCW towards the end of WCW that not a lot of people remember. But I think he had good mic skills. He was pretty good in the ring.
Yeah.
But I think injuries really caught up with him and really slowed him down. And I think his attitude
slowed him down.
Just stunk.
Yeah.
I think his attitude stunk. So I think that had a lot to do with why Shane didn't get pushed. But great questions. Submit your questions at PBW Podcast, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. We'll do our best to get to those each and every week. Let's hit a couple of quick hitters on the way out from AEW and WWE. Still nothing official from Bray and Bobby. Don't know what's going to happen there.
Yeah, apparently it's planned to still happen, but there's like a contingency plan in place.
Yep.
So
we'll see what happens there. We mentioned Adam Cole earlier. Great promo. Confronted by Daniel Garcia. We're going to see Adam Cole and Daniel Garcia, which a lot of people are reading into. We're going to get Cole and Jericho.
I don't want Jericho and Cole. I think
because it's going to last the rest of the year.
I think if this is a one-off, great, but I don't want JAS anywhere near Adam Cole.
I agree with that. All right, Cody and Roman on Monday Night Raw. Holy smoke! So good, man. So good. Roman throwing the Stardust in the AEW, and Cody really putting him in his place, man.
I thought Roman, especially after he said you ran off and started another company, and when you couldn't get over there, you ran away. I thought when he said that, there was nothing Cody could say in his promo that would match that.
But he did.
And then when he said Jay will leave you, Jimmy will leave you, Solo will leave you, Paul will be an advocate again, and then you'll be a Roman with no more reigns. What did he say?
A Roman with no reigns. A chief with no tribe.
Yep.
And
he said something else.
Something else. I don't remember what the last thing was.
But yeah, it was so good. It was brutal.
So good. I mentioned it earlier. Edge's promo was so good.
Yes.
I cannot wait to see what we get at Mania with him and Balor. Can't wait to see it. It's going to be so good.
Yep.
Not just as much what we get with Balor, but what we get with Edge.
Yeah.
Like, what are we going to get?
I'm excited to see what they do with Finn as a demon.
Yep.
Because
oh man, he's going to come out painted up purple.
Yep.
Oh,
and
that's going to be good.
There's got to be a lot of not retconning, but the last time the demon showed up, it was not pretty. So we gotta make sure this brings back the demon persona.
Well,
right.
He's going to be in the ring with Edge, and it's
Yeah.
WrestleMania.
And Triple H is in charge. So we're good. Triple H is in charge. Maybe not. We don't know.
We'll be fine. On the WWE side, Andy Kaufman getting inducted in the Hall of Fame. That's very cool.
Yep.
Do we really need these showcase matches at WrestleMania?
No, but we don't need half the matches we get at WrestleMania. I feel like
I'm not saying like the WrestleMania card is good because if you look at it, what else are you gonna book?
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I think it's a good way to get people on the card. Wouldn't be shocked if these didn't turn into pre-show matches.
If they even do pre-show matches.
If they even do pre-show matches.
Man, I hope so.
Which they should, because boy, when you're sitting there for 2 hours,
you need it.
You get a little dead before the show starts. So
you need it.
But yeah, I'm fine with it. It's a good way. I mean, listen, it gets Chad Gable on the card, so I'm happy.
FTR says if they lose against the Guns, they're gonna quit.
Keep stirring the pot. They just
that
keep
swerve's
stirring.
coming.
They just keep stirring.
I bet that swerve's coming because I don't think they. Part of me thinks they beat the Guns and they swerve us.
Yeah.
But then part of me, again, I go back to I think they come back to put the Guns over.
I don't know. I really have no idea what to expect, which makes this fun. Like, it makes it really good.
They're trying to stir the pot for sure.
Yep.
Last but not least, thoughts and prayers up for Alexa Bliss and her recovery from skin cancer. She had a procedure to have a spot removed. That's why she's been out.
She was also on the
Masked Singer. That's right. But thoughts and prayers up to Alexa Bliss for that whole situation. Tired of people giving her crap online. So hope that puts you in your place. All right, man. That's going to do it. Lots of stuff this week. A loaded show. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Again, make sure you hit the like button on that video and all that fun jazz. Next week, coming up, Monday, top 10 WrestleMania moments. Tuesday, PBWF Season 2 returns, ladies and gentlemen. Wednesday, we're going to do a watch-along of the return of Cody Rhodes.
Yep.
Thursday and or Friday, just watch. 2 separate shows for Night 1 and Night 2 previews. Make sure that you check it out.
Yep.
All right. Follow us at PBW Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and TikTok. Make sure you subscribe wherever you find your podcast. Tell a friend. Leave us some viewer questions. We would appreciate it very much. For Mr. Andy York, my name is Chris Belcher. This has been the Pipe Bomb Wrestling Podcast. We will catch you guys down the road.